my name is Marshall and this is Waveform. What's more important, making things sound realistic or making things sound good? More on that question later. This video is about the sound design in Uncharted 4. If you haven't played it, here's what we're dealing with.
Oh no!
There are tons of cool things going on there. I could talk more about them, but I'd rather just show you. This clip is from somewhere in the middle of the Uncharted 4 campaign. In 15 seconds, try to note as much as you can about where you think our main character is. Go.
What have we here? What have we here?
How'd you do? I'd be willing to bet you did pretty well. We heard water dripping, lots of reverb on our voice and footsteps, and a low background hum like we were underground in a cave. In just 15 seconds, the game gave us all that information through only the sound design. Now compare that to this clip from another game. In this example, we were in a spa with stone walls, which should in theory sound pretty similar to the cave we saw in the last clip. Water drops, lots of reverb, but the magic just wasn't there. What Uncharted 4 achieves with their audio engine is pretty remarkable. Each tire on this Jeep is synthed separately depending on the surface it's on, and the foliage sounds are dynamic and there are quads around the player's head at all.
Stop.
No, Elena's right. That's not what I want to talk about. I could make this video about all the technical things, but there's something much more interesting going on here. And that's the use of
HyperRealism.
So what is HyperRealism? Well, it's the difference between this and this. The second clip exaggerates all the important elements of the interaction and is much more satisfying to listen to. But keep in mind, the vast majority of people who listen to that example would not even think twice about it being unrealistic. Realism can mean totally different things to totally different people. Let's look at another more specific example. I looked up a million videos online of people throwing all different kinds of ropes, and guess what? Not a single one of them made a cool sound. But here's what it sounds like to throw a rope in Uncharted 4. That's what hyperrealism is about. Taking inspiration from the real and just exaggerating the hell out of it. In Uncharted 4, a rope sounds like a whip. See, we like things that sound hyperreal. They pique our interest in a way that realism often doesn't. Adding more emphasis to the sound design can add drama and power to something that would otherwise be flat or uninteresting. But hyperrealism isn't just unique to games. In fact, one might even say that it makes things sound
The cinematic,
which is good. We're shooting for a cinematic sound, right?
We're not going for a cinematic sound, actually. Saying Hollywood as a guideline or something, I know many people do that, and it's just following what film does, but games is games. I don't think it's wise to go chasing after a kind of movie soundscape. It's not what it is.
Ask yourself, would someone ever describe a James Bond fight scene as game-like? No. So why are we doing the same thing in reverse? I think it's because cinematic and hyper-realistic have started to mean the same thing. After all, games today are looking more and more like films. But this all brings us back to my original question. How do you know where a project falls in that spectrum? To be honest, I'm not sure I can tackle that answer by myself. Let me ask some friends. Guys, what do you think?
I suppose that's really one of the first sort of meetings I have with developers. I mean, if the game is hyper-realistic in its style, then you can really amp that up with sound design that sort of magnifies that effect.
Let's say I'm doing a VR game and it's supposed to be taking place on the top of Mount Everest or something like that. In that case, I'm probably not going to go super over the top with a lot of the sounds, right? Because it's more supposed to be focusing on, replicating that experience of being out in nature. As opposed to something like an action game where you want everything to feel a lot bigger and a lot more powerful. So in that case, I'd want the sound to reflect that as well.
Swords. Pulling out a sword. Unsheath the sword. Shing! Actually sounds like rubbing metal on leather. That is not a cool sound, but it's a sound you need to hear happening because it's important, and you can't use the realistic. It's just not gonna do it for you, is it?
Thanks, guys.
Sounds good.
Thanks.
I guess in short, there's no formula to deciding where a project falls on the spectrum between real and hyperreal. It's about intuition more than anything else. But if you're looking for inspiration, Uncharted 4 is where to find it. I've never experienced sound design in a game before that was so aware of its own genre. Nothing feels out of place or forced. The sounds in this game are precise, detailed, and punchy, always satisfying and never excessive. One day maybe I'll even tackle surrealism in another video, but for now,
We can just end it right here.
thanks for watching, guys. Be sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed. In other news, I'm now teaching one-on-one sound design lessons on this amazing website called upsound.com. If you're interested, just head over to upsound.com/expert/MarshallMcGee and shoot me a message. Also, be sure to leave a comment with games or topics you'd like to see in future videos. Until next time, thanks.